I can enjoy music now. It was this moment of like realizing that I haven't been present when listening to music before. It's almost like it's weird thinking that I've been into music for so many years. And I mean, I have probably been present a few times listening to music, but most of the times when I look back at like when I listen to music, I've always been distracted in one way or another. What I mean with that is, so when I'd listened to music before, I was like, okay, so I went into Spotify. Maybe I was like, it wasn't usually like an intention to sit down and listen. So it wasn't like I was, okay, I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to listen, which is something that it's weird that almost that we don't have that. We don't have that, like, at least I don't. If you do, it's a great thing. I'm happy for you. But maybe you don't. Maybe you're like me and you're like, no, I only listen to music when I'm going to school or when I'm going to work. You're always doing something else. And usually what happens then is you can't be present with the music you're listening to. Sometimes you feel like you are, but in reality, there's too many things happening at the same time, so you can't really be 100% present with the music you're listening to. So I remember like listening to music all the time, like when I was going to places. I was in the train and maybe I was like inside of my music, but in reality, that's not being present with the music, because I remember where usually I was listening to music and then would always drift away in other thoughts at the same time. So not only was I was I going with train to somewhere, maybe I was going to school, maybe I was going to my work. I was listening to music and I was drifting away in thoughts at the same time. So I was basically doing multitasking. I was doing a lot of things at the same time. I wasn't present with the music. And I bet most of you aren't present with your music right now, with listening to music. Because being present with music isn't about listening and focusing on what licks the guitar player plays or what notes the bass player plays. It's an aspect of it. You can use that as an exercise for deep listening, of course. But when we're just talking about listening to music, being present with what you're hearing, that's just being present with it. You're not listening for something. You're just listening. You're literally just taking in, and you're not judging. You're not like like you shouldn't have thoughts in your brain while listening to music. You shouldn't have thoughts in your brain while listening to music. So you should just listen. You shouldn't be thinking, "Oh, he did that. Oh, it's a nice thing also, like, oh, he did that." Maybe you do that for like a second and then you go back. You go back to listening. And why am I saying you should do this? Because it's the most enjoyable state ever. Being the amount of information you can actually take in when being present is like, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, okay? It's another thing. I've never felt like I could just accumulate so much information when listening in a present way, without judging, without thinking, without like focusing on one instrument, just like taking in like the symbiosis of the things that happening. Because as soon as you start focusing and stuff, you'll start your mind will start thinking. Your mind will start, oh, he did that. Oh, I like that. You will start like putting labels and stuff. Oh, I like that. I didn't like that. Oh, that. And you'll see you're not present anymore, because you'll sometimes even I would start thinking how I would play if I would play that song. And that's also bringing me out of the present moment, because that's not the focus right now. The focus is to listen to this song and just go be present with the song, with the tune you're listening to. It's a whole different experience than starting. Like, your mind will always think. And the more you think, the more you think. So one thought, if you give it water, which is keep thinking about it, it will duplicate, and that will duplicate, and that will duplicate. All of a sudden, the whole song has gone by and you haven't even listened to it. Or you might even listen, you got bored all of a sudden because you were like thinking so much, so you want to skip the tune, you want to skip song. You're not present, okay? It's when listening to music, if you can be present with the tune, which means committing to it, committing to the music you're listening to. Maybe you should stop listening to music when you're going to work, when you're going to school. If that, maybe that would help. For me, it's like, it's better to commit to listening to music as, now I'm going to do this and I'm going to be present and I'm going to give my all to be with this tune. It's almost like it's it gets spiritual. Like, the music becomes, I'm so grateful for getting to hear this. Also, like, you probably have good headphones, you probably have a good speaker. I mean, most of us do in this day and age, right? So just like, it's this gratitude thing that almost happens, like, wow, this is amazing. And I think this, like, constant thinking makes us so, we think it's good that we keep like, oh no, focusing on guitar. Oh, I didn't like that. I like that. And then you skip around, you skip to the solo, you do all this kinds of stuff. I mean, that's not, everything you do will reflect on you as a person and as a musician. What you do when you play live, I think it will show if when you play live with, or just when you play with other people jamming. There's the present musician and there's the guy that's just stressed, wants to get everything out, because it's the way you've been listening to music, it's the way you've been basically living life, just not being present with what is right now. So when you listen to a tune, just commit to it, listen to it, be present with it, like literally be present with it. For me, it's like closing my eyes and just having no thoughts in my brain, just letting it happen. And you'll see yourself, like, I just listened to music and I was like you get, it's spiritual. It's almost like you're high on life because you're not controlling anymore. You're just being present. And this goes with everything in life. You want to be present at all times. If you're not present, then you're probably living in the future or you're living in the past. But guess what? The present has always been the present. If you think about your life, has it ever been in the past or in the future? It's always been this. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. This is like the thing that enlightened me. It's always been this. Life has always been this. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the thing you're experiencing right now, that's the thing. This, what I'm seeing right now, life has always been just this. It's never been in the past. It's never been in the future. It's always been this. This is revolutionary. It's almost like weird that this isn't something that people think about or talk about. It's the stillness of thinking like this is immaculate. Immaculate. good word. It's a stillness that just gives you so much fulfillment. It's it gives you this feeling of abundance, almost like it's just everything is just so nice. It's almost like you're high. You haven't taken any drugs. You're just present with life, with everything that is. And that's how you should conquer music. I promise you, if you think about this, if you start thinking about how can I be more present and how can I start observing my thoughts more? Like literally what you have to do is start observing your thoughts when you listen to music. Because if you don't observe your thoughts, you won't be able to catch yourself when your thoughts drift away. And your thoughts drifting away isn't the state you want to be in. You have to catch yourself when your thoughts drift away and then just get back. And the better you get at that, the more life will start feeling so good. It's this enlightened feeling when you realize that it's always been the present moment. It's always been now. And listening to music is like, it's a gift. Don't be stressed thinking about everything. Just commit to it. I promise you, you will create music that's in the present moment. So imagine if you listen with your fullest present attention, what happens when you then play? Well, it will be a reflection of that. When you play with people, it has to be in a present blissful state, which you've been practicing when you've listened. So now all of a sudden when you're jamming, you're listening to other people, you're like, wow, I have no thoughts in my brain. Because that's where you always wanted to be. That's the state that you've been searching for so long. Having no thoughts in your brain when you play with other people. Right now, you probably have that ego voice in your head that keeps judging every move you make. Maybe it even judge other people. Maybe you're fearful that other people might judge you. And do you think that's a present state? It's not a present state because it builds up scenarios in your head. It's not in the present. Remember what I said about past, future? The ego lives in the past and the future. Life has never been past or future. It's always been this. And this, there's not supposed to be any thoughts in this. It's just has to be. It's in the being. So if you can practice that and you can realize that, okay, me listening to music has to be a reflection. It has to be the attention you give into. Actually, it's like listening to music. It's practicing music too. The attention you give to your creativeness, the presentness you give to that will be a reflection of how good or how much you will improve and how much you will be able to not only improve but enjoy playing music with yourself, with other people. It's always been about that. It's always been about being present. And it is, I've been in my conditioned self. This world is basically conditioning us to not be present. And I guess most of us are stuck in that conditioning. It means we're basically conditioned to just think. Thinking isn't really a good thing if you think about it. That's funny. Indulging, that's is an addiction to think. You're like going on a walk and then you're just thinking. You're just not in the present. You're listening to music and you're thinking. You're not in the present. You're working, you're thinking about other stuff. You just keep thinking and then you realize life is just passing. You haven't enjoyed. I mean, there's so much to enjoy right here and now. I mean, it's just so amazing how much it is to enjoy right here and now. Your enjoyment right now is probably here. This is the conditioned enjoyment. This is where you can be by just being present. Like you will enjoy life more. You will the present moment is almost like if you can embrace the present moment, you'll be this authentic person too. And I can say this because I haven't been my authentic self before. That was just me being in my thoughts, being in my ego, scenarios, and all that stuff. But right now, I feel so authentic. I feel like I'm literally just telling you what's on my mind. And I have no thoughts in my brain right now because this is my truth. I'm speaking to you from a very, very authentic place right now. That it's not like even me talking, it's like almost a higher power talking to you because it's like it's so truthful to who I am. And guess what? That comes from the present state. It comes from me being with you and not with anything else. And this is what I want for you because I genuinely care about you. I care about you having good mental health. I care about you creating the music that comes from this place, basically, the place of authenticity. And that only comes from becoming a aware, present person that realizes thoughts aren't really that great. It's- the breathing is also really important. Like literally, most of the times I realized when I don't feel good, like usually when you don't feel good, it's like okay, your brain just started like your thoughts started thinking. Okay, you started thinking about something that hasn't happened, or maybe it's something that has happened, and you have a you have an you have an what's it called, like a story in your mind of why that happened, that person. You're making yourself a victim. And so that's what happens when you start getting out of the present moment. You start getting indulged in those stories. The ego has taken over your consciousness, basically. And what happens then is your stomach tenses up. So if you will catch yourself in those moments, you will see that you're not even breathing. Like, because it's so difficult to be in those thoughts if you're focused on your breathing. Like, doing that will basically like get you back into the present moment because it's our brain can't really focus on the breath and focus on different ego thoughts at the same time. So basically getting aware of the breath might be a first step. That's amazing for you. You want to breathe in with the nose, like stomach bulging out, and then you want to release it like like that's a good thing. You're like releasing. And you'll see yourself getting more present. You'll start feeling more. And yeah, that this is how I think life should be, especially as a musician, because we're creative people. We are present moment people. But right now it's not present moment, like we haven't embraced that. I mean, how many people, musicians, do you know that are really present people? I mean, it's not anyone's fault. It's just the conditioning. But the thing is, we as creative people, our power lies in the present. Our power lies in 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 that thing, and we can dial into that. It's something that we can dial into, which is amazing. And most people dial into that for short amount of times. And I'm not saying I'm great at this. I'm working on this every day. It's my purpose. I have to. It's so basically just become a present musician. Just become a present person that's creative. All right? I hope this helped. And thank you for watching this far. You can join my private community if you want more access to me. We'll have Zoom calls 8 times a month. We have private lessons 2 times a month. So you're welcome to join. We'll get you to the next level. When it comes to jazz guitar, we can talk about mental health. We can talk about being present. We can talk about everything, whatever you want. Okay? I'm here for you. Thank you for being a part of this. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. GuitArmin out. Bye bye.